19th January 2021. Tim Paine stood watch as the Australian fortress Kaaba was taken over by Indians. Nobody knew at the time that this was probably the last time he would wear the Australian jersey. The story of how that came to be starts from a simple theft. A theft by a receptionist which somehow cost the Australian captain his captaincy, his career, his reputation, and his name. Today we will show the earthquake one single mistake can create, and how the delayed tsunami that follows can be enough to wipe out everything. 17th November 2017. Just 5 days from the upcoming Ashes Test, Australian pundits, experts, and cricket fans alike woke up to a shocking news. Tim Paine was being recalled to the team. Somebody who had played for Australia back in 2011, who was not even part of his local Tasmanian team, who, just a few months back, was seriously considering retirement. It was his coach that talked him out of it, and today he had been selected for the Ashes tour. It was a true Cinderella story. Somebody rising from true obscurity to now having a chance to prove himself on the highest platform Australian cricket had to offer. And the person at the middle of it all, Tim Paine, had no doubt he would prove true to this challenge. A wife at home, a child in the crib, and a glorious future ahead. He looked ready to take over the world. And on the night of 22nd November, as he was lying on his hotel bed in Brisbane, he got a message. For privacy and legal matters, let's call her X. She was the receptionist at Cricket Tasmania. And in the past, when Paine's failures, insecurities, and demons were lurking large, the attention she paid to him, it made him feel good about himself. So, for the last year, he had an on and off text chain with her. Flirty banter, innuendo-filled words, just harmless fun, nothing more. And on the night, right before the first test, the same conversation carried on, crossing a few more boundaries. One of which included this. She wrote, "If anybody found out about this, we are so..." In response, Tim Paine sent a pic. A pic of his body part with the caption, "True. So," and that was the end of that. The conversation then carried on for the next month or so till X left her job to go somewhere else. But in that time, Tim Paine would make his dreams come true. 192 runs in 6 innings with 1 not out, 150 at an average of 48 runs. As a wicketkeeper, he had 25 catches, 1 stumping, ultimately causing Australia to have a 4-0 victory in Ashes. This would be followed with another good performance in the ODI series, which earned him a place in the upcoming South African tour. A tour in which his captain Steve Smith, along with the vice captain Warner, would get caught tampering the ball. What followed was a quick investigation, followed by immediate suspension, and they were sent back home. Filling their shoes would be the only person who had shown even a semblance of form in the series, while having no tangential connection to the scandal. Yes, Tim Paine. Within 6 months of his entry into the team, he had become the Australian captain. The captain of a sinking ship in middle of the greatest storm ever faced by Australian cricket. And he somehow proved true to this challenge too. By the time June of 2018 came around, in spite of a whitewash against England, the entire Australian team seemed to have slowly recovered their footing. The accidental captain had seemed to won over his team, and that is when he got the call. The board had received a letter accusing Tim Paine of harassment. The sender, X. Now, what Tim Paine didn't know back then in November was that at the time, X was being investigated internally for multiple cases of theft. They had CCTV footages of her slipping association money into her purse. Various club membership cards had gone missing from her desk and then used without the relevant money given. And in December, when she was finally confronted with the evidence, she suddenly found all of that misplaced money in a back room. She had just forgotten it there. But when asked why did this money had a different denomination than the money that she had received back then, she was suspended pending investigations, which was followed by she resigning from her job. But the investigations, they didn't stop. By June of 2018, she would be informed. Cricket Australia was filing 63 cases of theft. X was going to be dragged to the courts. Now, the dates couldn't be confirmed. But somehow, coincidentally, in and around the same time that the charges were filed, she would send out 2 letters. One to Cricket Australia and the other to the Australian Human Rights Commission, complaining of harassment. Yup, nothing was said at the time of the incident. Nothing was said even when she was suspended, but the moment legal action was about to be taken, complaints of harassment were sent out. It's funny how coincidences seem to work out, doesn't it? And so, an internal investigation was launched into the matter, in which all the records of the chats were sifted through, interviews were done, even X's workplace desktop and emails were combed through, which ultimately led to a conclusion. It was consensual, private, occurred on only one occasion, and was between mature adults. In fact, in the message, they both were aware of what exactly they were doing. So, the board did not see any need to take actions. Now, this may have been motivated from not having another scandal within a few months of the first. But no matter what the motivation was, the board had cleared Paine of any wrongdoing. Paine had even informed his wife about his indiscretion, for which she had forgiven him. He seemed to have survived this scandal, at work and at home. The earthquake had passed without doing much damage. But then came the tsunami. 18th November 2021, nearly 4 years on the dot of the day that he had been selected into the Australian team. Paine was getting back to playing cricket. The last year had been very difficult for him. It started from the humiliating defeat at the Gabba, followed by being sidelined due to injury, and then a neck surgery. He even had to just sit and watch as his team won the T20 World Cup in UAE. But finally, he was ready. He had just played a match for the Tasmanian second 11. He had been selected to the Western Australian team. Next was an easy slide into the national side. The plan was set to climb back to the top. And then he got a call. X had filed a case in court. She was demanding $1 million from Cricket Australia. And some of the chats were about to be made public. The next day, standing in front of a filled press room, a tearful Tim Paine would resign from his captaincy.
And supportive family, and it breaks my heart to know how much that I've let them down.
And as the details started emerging, especially of the secret investigation done before, with press, media and the nation at large attacking Cricket Australia for keeping everything a secret, the board, which initially looked to be in support of Tim Paine, changed sides. What was a comprehensive investigation was done before. It now became, it had happened under a different administration. If it happened now, we would have handled it quite differently. Such amazing was the backtracking that Tim Paine, who had only resigned from his captaincy and not cricket, who was actually being considered for the upcoming tour, he was told via whispers he was done. On 26 November 2021, Tim Paine would go on an indefinite break from cricket. A break that has been going on till this very day. His contracts with Cricket Australia have been cancelled. His legacy nearly deleted. Nowadays, the only mention that he gets is from the ongoing harassment case against Cricket Australia. More precisely, his along with 3 others. Because X, in her complaint, named 3 more individuals along with Tim Paine, one of whom also happened to be Tim Paine's brother-in-law. Now, even though a court-ordered search and seizure failed to unearth any electronic complaints, and her colleagues under investigation said that she spoke of all these people as more of a fun office gossip thingy rather than harassment. But here comes my question. Why wait 4 years? You had all the proof you needed, right? So why wait 4 years? This was the same question asked by the judge presiding over this court case, especially when you had already dealt with a similar situation before. Yes, after being suspended in 2017, she had joined a new job, where after 7 months of employment, she filed for workers' compensation, saying she had been bullied and harassed at the new workplace. She was then deemed incapacitated and given a 12 months of paid compensation. So, if prompt actions were taken then why wait for 4 years? And I want to be very clear here. I am not defending Tim Paine. If she was truly as distressed by what Tim Paine did, then for sure she deserves to be compensated. She should have filed a case against Tim Paine too. But the fact is, she did not. She filed a case against Cricket Australia. But even as the court battle raged on, along with the ongoing criminal theft case against her, Tim Paine had already been judged, sentenced, and even punished by the court of public opinion. So today, as I end this video here, I just want somebody to come and tell me, all punishments except the most heinous crimes have an end date, right? So can somebody tell me, when exactly does Tim Paine's punishment come to an end? This is one video where I would genuinely love to know your opinion. It may just be that I'm very biased or I'm just watching it from one angle. So do tell me, what do you think? Till then, thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a good day.